Hey, this is Pat Heyman back with another video about masternodes and cryptocurrency in general. Before we talk about masternode coins, I want to talk about the overall market at the moment. We are in the middle of a downtrend and quite bearish market. Last year, Bitcoin rose up from very low all the way up to almost $20,000. And that's just not sustainable, that kind of meteoric rise. And a lot of the altcoins went 40 or 50 times, some of them 100 times in value. And you just can't do that in a couple months' time and expect it to stay that high. So what we're seeing right now is, I guess you might call it a healthy retracement. It's something that has to happen before we can go on to new and bigger highs. But we will go on to bigger highs. The question is, will you be there? Will you have lost your money in the meantime? So here's some thoughts that come from one of the Facebook groups that I'm in. I highly recommend that you join it if you're not there. It's called the Crypto Watch. I'll put a link to it in the video description. So this is from one of the moderators in that group. This was like from a much larger, I guess, editorial. So the first part is that the crypto markets have done something unique kind of in history, and that's they've brought some of the smartest people together with some of the dumbest people. And the question is, which one are you going to be? And the proof is in the pudding. Are you going to keep your money or are you going to lose your money? Now, some of you bought in at $15,000, $18,000, $19,000, and now Bitcoin's sitting around $7,000 and you've lost 2/3 of your money. Or worse, you put it into a Masternode coin that lost 90 to 100% of its value, and you're like, now what do I do? Well, that's a great question. But what I can tell you for sure is that if you get out of the market now, then you will have lost everything. So you need to understand what you've gotten yourself into, and you need to study and you need to become smarter. It was easy to make money last year during one of the biggest bull runs of all time, but is it going to be easy to make money now? It's going to be a lot harder. And if you're down right now, you need to decide what you're going to do. So that brings us to the next point, which is the ultimate future of cryptocurrency is predicated on this next point, which is that there's a massive breakdown in trust that is happening globally. It's not just in the United States. You know, Bitcoin came out of the financial disasters of 2007 and 2008, when it essentially found out that credit default swaps in the mortgage industry and the banks in general were not in good shape. So that entire thing kind of gave birth to Bitcoin. But there's a lack of good money all across the United States. So one of the things I want to do in a future episode is kind of look at some of the things that the really compelling reasons for why cryptocurrencies are so important. In the United States, we've got a really well-developed banking system. And yes, there's some issues. Yes, there's some problems in terms of overall risk and, too big to fail and all that sort of thing. But the bottom line is pretty much anyone in America who wants a bank can have a bank. And your money is pretty safe in that bank most of the time. But in other countries, that's not the case. And what we're going to see is we're going to see the wide-scale adoption of cryptocurrencies in those countries first, and then ultimately it's going to spread to the United States. So expect it to start in places like Asia and Africa in terms of wide-scale adoption, and then spread out into Europe and the United States, not the other way around. The next thing is, so what can you do? And this is something that Carter Thomas from Coin Mastery said this in one of his videos recently, probably about 2 weeks ago, that when he was younger, right after the .com bubble burst, and he had like a small portfolio, I think of like $3,000, and he was managing it carefully every day and making special little trades and all this stuff. And he said, you know what? I would have been much better off getting a second job or working something extra, doing some sort of side gig and making an extra $5,000 that year to put into the market rather than spending so many hours micromanaging my little portfolio of $3,000. Even if you double $3,000, you get 100% return. Now you got $6,000. Well, could you just have worked a little extra and made $6,000? You see the point. And so this is something that this person from the Crypto Watch is making. The best thing you can do with your time is to focus on things that are going to make you money that you can then bring into the crypto market and position yourself for a ride. And he's predicting that the next decade is going to be the crypto inflation wave. So the value of cryptocurrencies is going to be immense. Now, it's really important here, quality things. And that goes back to, are you a smart person or are you a dumb person? The things you invest in need to be things that are more likely to make you successful and be around. Things that go to zero make you poorer. Things that go up in value make you richer. So with that note, let's switch over and talk about something that's not even crypto, Amazon.com. Now, here's the chart for Amazon. And what you'll notice is that if you bought way back in the middle of the .com bubble, now you can't really see it appreciate it on this chart. So let's zoom in. Okay, so here we go. So if you bought in, let's say you bought in right here in 1999 at the height of the .com, and you bought for $95, and you're like, I am the smartest person in the world because I bought Amazon. Look how much it's gone up. It's going to keep going up. And then it dropped down, and you panicked and you sold. You lost 50% of its value, $50, and you sold it. And then it went back up and you're like, you know what? I gotta buy this again. And so you bought it at $90. And then you sold it when it dropped back down because you got scared again. And then it went all the way back up to $90 and you bought it again. And then it went all the way down to $8, $7, and you sold it down there. You lost an enormous fortune. I mean, you lost 90% of your money just on that last trade. Not to mention the times you lost money from there to there and from there to there to there to there again. So you could have ended up losing 99% of the money you invested into Amazon. Would that have been that smart? I don't know. If you'd kept it until now, the last price of Amazon was $1,500. So if you bought it here at 90, and then it went down to 7, and you decided, you know what? I really believe in Amazon. I'm not going to sell. And you kept it for the next 18 years. You can't even see it on this particular chart. There you go. You kept it for the next 18 years. You would have made, that's 100% return on your money, annualized. So you doubled your money every year, but notice where most of the doubling occurred. Most of the doubling didn't actually show up until around 2014. And then, whew, you had to keep it for 13 long years of not much going on. Just kind of boring. A little bit up, and then bam! The reason why you always hear in the crypto markets, do your own research, DYOR. It's not because someone might give you bad advice. That's not the problem. They might. But the real problem is if you don't believe in that advice, if you're just doing it because, yeah, someone told me. When this happens, you're going to freak out and you're going to sell and you're going to lose your money. And then that's going to happen and you're not going to be in the market because you'll have sold at a loss. That is what we call, not me, that is what they call in the investment trade, weak hands. You want to be strong hands. You want to keep the loss and say, you know what? Amazon went from $95 to $7 and I lost 90% of my money, but I am not selling. because I am not going to take that loss. I believe in Amazon. I believe in the future of Amazon. I like their business model. That Jeff Bezos guy, he's crazy, but he's so dedicated. And I think that he's a winner, and I'm going to be a winner with him one day. That's how you make your money. It's not by choosing a company that's doomed to fail and then selling, well, and then not selling it. Just don't buy a company that's doomed to fail in the first place if you can. But more importantly, if you choose a good company, or in crypto, if you choose a good coin, don't sell it just because it loses value. If you're in the red, you need to keep that coin, hold on to it, and it will come back. And that goes to a large part of, are you smart or are you stupid? Is your money smart or is your money stupid? Be slow to invest and even slower to sell at a loss. And the other thing is, don't get too greedy. There are people who, in this last bull run, they started off with $10,000 and they went up to $100,000. They started off with $100,000. They went up to $1 million. And they didn't sell. And now they're looking back at whatever they were started at. This is an old saying. If someone puts $1 million in your hand, close your hand. So you've got a couple different things that you've got to be watching out for. One is, if something goes 5x or 10x in price, it doesn't mean you have to sell everything, but you need to at least take some profits. No one ever went broke taking profits. Choose good coins and don't sell at a loss when you're down. If you can follow those precepts and you can choose good coins, you're going to be fine in the coming months. Now, how does that relate to cryptocurrencies? Well, let's talk about some Masternode coins. So here we have our handy dandy Masternodes.online website. And I just want to mention one thing, that when you look at a Masternode's worth, over here you have to remember that that is the very last sale imputed to the entire cost of the Masternode. So just because that says that's the value of a Masternode doesn't mean you can actually buy it or sell it for that particular price. So just a case in point, I want to take a quick look at our tax. So if you look on CryptoBridge here, what you'll see is you need $2,500 for a Masternode. So you need $2,500 for a Masternode, and you can see that the last price was 557 Satoshis. Now, if you come all the way down here, what you'll see is that there are barely 2 Masternodes for sale on CryptoBridge. And even though the last sale was for 557, the very first sale price is for 872. And the first buy price is for higher than that last sell price. So if you wanted to buy enough for a Masternode, so you wanted 2,500, then you're probably going to have to end up buying all the way up to 2,000 Satoshis. So yeah, you're going to get these ones for less, but you go up pretty quickly. Now let's say that you decided, you know what, I'm going to buy 2 Masternodes. In order to buy both Masternodes, let me just show you a quick little trick that you can do here. Okay, so let's click Show All, and then we're going to just highlight the entire order book. Copy it, and we're going to come into Google Sheets, and we're just going to paste that in. So now what we can do is we can say equals the number of coins, and then say equal above plus the next order. And now we can copy this all the way down to there. Okay, so if you wanted to buy 2 Masternodes worth, so that's $5,000, sorry, 5,000 RTAX, you're going to end up spending about 0.2 Bitcoin. So 0.2 Bitcoin at the moment is about $1,500 to almost $2,000. So when you look at masternodes.online, Masternodes.online says that the value of a masternode is $1,400. Well, you're going to be spending a lot more than that to buy 2 masternodes worth. And you're going to be buying a lot more, you're going to be spending a lot more than that just to buy 1 masternode's worth. So let's go back over to here, and for the first masternode, so somewhere between 0.026 and 0.029. So the current price of Bitcoin, let's just say it's $8,000. So you can multiply this by 8,000. So it's going to be a little bit more than double what, a little bit less than double what the price says on Masternodes.online. And if you come down to this level where the 5,000 was, you're looking at $1,600 to buy 2 masternodes. So just be aware that just because you see a number here doesn't mean that number is actually what you can purchase this for. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's the most important thing to look for when you're looking for a coin? And my number one thing at this particular moment in time isn't on this chart. It's actually the community. So remember, we just talked about buying coins that are going to be around. And I think the number one most important thing about a coin being around is that it has a good community behind it and it has good developers. So in a previous video, I had mentioned Zios, which had forked to Zeus. And what had happened is that the developer had some family problems and just kind of couldn't carry on with the project. And some people got kind of access to the project and were doing some things that weren't exactly kosher. So the community stepped in and actually took over the project, and they forked the project to become a new coin called Zeus. And that coin is not quite yet out yet, but they're still working through their process of getting rid, doing the swap and all that. So that's an example where you have a fairly strong community. Another example, let me just show you. So let's see. Okay, so here we have Zeus, Zeus Discord channel. So you can see that in the general discussion, they are fairly active. For a coin that's not being traded and hasn't even been distributed yet, there's actually quite a bit of discussion. So that is a fairly healthy sign. You can see that there's several different moderators, who are in the group, and then there's a bunch of advisors, and then there's community assistants, and there's someone who's great at bots, and then you can see the number of people who have joined the server. So it's a fairly active server, and the coin doesn't even exist in the sense that it's not in anyone's wallet. It's just in the developer's wallet right now. So I think that is something that would be very helpful in terms of what is the community like behind the coin. Another one I've mentioned in the past, I actually made a video on it, is Sub1X. If you take a look at Sub1X's Discord channel, you can see that they've got a lot going on. They also have a Telegram discussion group. And what's really nice about this is that they have, like the highlights of Telegram are put into Telegram updates channel. And then if you want to talk about those, because not everyone is on Telegram, then there's a Telegram discussion channel. And so you can, there's lots of discussion going on in this particular coin. They've got not as many moderators, but you can see there are a couple, and you can see that there's a decent number of people in the server. And for a coin that just got listed on an exchange about a week ago, that's pretty darn good, I'd say. Another example of one that I mentioned before is CryptoJacks, which became Bit Rewards. So here you've got Bit Rewards, and you can see that there are several different Discord managers or admins, and then you can see a number of moderators, marketing team, and then they've got gold members. These are people who own Masternodes, who have registered with the group. And then there's some additional community members, and then you can see, there's a fairly decent number of people who are in the server as well. So this particular group has been very, very, very good at organizing the community. The community isn't quite as big, at least from the currently, people currently on the server, isn't quite as big as you saw Zeus or Sub1X are, but they're really well organized. And I think that when you're taking a look at community, that's one of the things you want to look at is, are they organized and are they active? And those are two of the biggest things that I think you should look at when you're evaluating a Masternode coin, because a lot of these coins have been abandoned by their creators, by their dev teams. They're dead coins. Give you an example of one. And that is, one time it was one of my dream coins when I first started, Spark. So currently $86. Now remember, you have to take that with a grain of salt because you might not be able to get the entire Masternode for that, but that was the last sale. Let's take a quick look at this chart. $34. So you need 1,000 Spark. This coin was worth, the Masternode was worth at one point $35,000. And there are some people who bought it at that level. And today their Spark is worth $80. If your project gets abandoned, I don't know what you do. Hope for another project to come along, another developer to come along and pick it up. Or if you've got a really strong community, maybe the community can pick it up and do something with it. And that's exactly what happened with Zeus. It's also what happened with Sub1X, because Sub1X is actually the current Sub1X is the third reiteration of the Sub1X project. It actually started out as an ERC20 token. So you've got a lot of potential when you have a strong community. If the coin gets abandoned, the project gets abandoned, that's not the end of the coin. But if you don't have a very strong community, when the developers leave, what do you have left? So my number one most important thing that I am currently using to evaluate coins is the strength of the community. And you can look at that strength in a number of different ways. The announcement page or the announcement thread on Bitcoin Talk is one. The website itself, I don't place a huge amount of emphasis on this. Even good projects often have websites that are out of date. It seems like in the it seems that coin developers and development teams don't know how the rest of the world works, and that your website is your public face. So a lot of times they think of Bitcoin Talk and Discord as their public face. And so they're updating things there and they forget to update the website. So you can take the website with a little bit of a grain of salt. As far as how it looks, apparently there are a lot of website templates out there that are just really cool looking, that, just because it looks cool doesn't mean that there's any substance behind it. If anything, what you'd be wanting to look at is the content on the website. How often is it being updated and that sort of thing. And then, of course, you've got Discord and Telegram channels, and I really highly recommend joining those. You can talk with the development team. I mean, think about it. If you were trying to, if you're trying to invest in a company like Apple or Amazon, can you just join the company's Discord channel or Telegram chat and chat with the CEO? No, you can't do that. But you can with the coin. So before you buy the coin, maybe you want to talk with the developer. Just throwing it out there. And that's not just for these smaller Masternode coins. You can even do that with some of the bigger projects. And their developers are open to answering questions from the community. And even if you're like, well, I don't even know what question I can ask, Find some smart people in the community who are asking good questions and see what they say. And what's interesting is, especially on these Masternode coins, you'll see certain community members pop up in different places. And so after a while, you begin to know, okay, this is a person that when they talk, I should be listening to what they say. And so if their opinion of a particular coin is that it's not very good, well, then maybe you should pay attention to that, or at least pay attention to the developer's response to that person. So those are some things that I'm thinking about right now in terms of overall strategy. What I think is that just like this went way, 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 way down, I think that projects that are not abandoned, once Bitcoin is done with its current bloodbath, are going to go way, way, way back up again. And the best chances of having a coin go back up are for it to be active, because those coins are going to have the best marketing. Those coins are going to be having people who are reaching out to their friends and telling their friends about it. Those are the ones that are going to be noticed. And the dead coins, the coins that have been abandoned, are not. So the question you have to ask yourself is, when Bitcoin comes back up and stops bringing the entire market down with it, where's your coin going to be? And my bet is on a community. So let's go back to this slide for just a moment. The number one most important thing, I think, is, are you going to be one of the smartest people in the room, or are you going to be one of the dumbest? And you can make a bad call and you can get into a bad investment, but it's what you do about it after that that's important. Have you learned from that mistake, or have you not learned from that mistake? Are you smarter than you were before, or are you more determined to be dumb than you ever were before? You need to think about that particular thing, because it's going to impact your overall success in this market, but also in life. And then, going back to the very last take-home message, the best thing you can do with your time right now is to earn more money to be able to put in. So if you're expecting to put in $100 and become a millionaire, yeah, it's possible, but chances are it's not going to happen. Now, if you expect to put in $10,000 and turn it into $20,000, your chances are a lot better. If you're going to try and put in $20,000 and turn it into $100,000, your chances are a lot easier than trying to take $100 and turn it into $100,000. So the number one most important thing that you can do, besides getting smart, is earning more money. So think about that before you decide to spend all of your time just reading about cryptocurrencies. If you don't have much money to invest in cryptocurrencies in the first place, you're going to be better off reading about how to start a business, or how to be better at your job, how to get a better job, how to get a raise. So on that note, may I suggest Jordan Peterson's video on how to ask for a raise.